then it fills up, sort of starts about the 18 or 12 fathom line. Then after a few weeks of a lot of rain, it goes out to sort of past the 24 fathoms, and then it eventually gets to the 36s. When it gets to 36s, it's in that line between those 2 points. And generally from there on, the southerly current will keep it relatively clean, as long as it hasn't been raining too much up, say, Gympie Way or Bundaberg or something like that, and a whole lot of dirty water comes down with it. Our best scenario here to have the best fishing like we did have last year was not too much rain. We had a bit of rain in January. It was very quick and heavy, but there was enough rain to make it really dirty. Let's hope what we get at the moment is just shortfall. If it is, then we'll get clean water and we get lots of fish. Dirty water, they're out further. So if you've got small boats, it's hard to get out there. So you've got to put up with that. Thanks, Stuart. Oh, okay. Rigging up boats. Good, right? So guys, I'm Doug Burt, this is Stuart, and many of us work here, but we'll help you out always when you come in. There's always one of us here during the day, any day of the week. And we're going to teach you about dolphin fish fishing, and I just want to know, show of hands, how many people here have caught dolphin fish before? Okay, and how many people have caught them over, say, a metre? Okay, a few of you have, and those people who caught them over a metre trolling? Okay, just one of you. Okay, and we'll spend a bit of time on trolling then. And how many people caught them on casting lures? Okay, we'll talk a lot about that tonight then. And obviously the rest of you guys on bait, right? And dead baits? And caught them just on pillies I'm talking about? Floating pilly, yeah, good mate, yep. And live baits, how many guys are good on live baits? So live bait's the easiest way to catch dolphin fish, okay? So we'll do less emphasis on that and more on the other side of it. I guess, like, everyone's great time on dolphin fish in thoughts is to catch them on either casting a lure or trolling lures, and then obviously live baits they go to, but it's too easy sometimes, and you get a lot of bigger fish, less fish, but bigger fish trolling. Okay, that's generally the rule. You don't get many little ones like that, like you do when you're casting pillies or live baits to a fad, say. But when you're trolling, you get a lot bigger fish. Inconsistency over a metre. You rarely get them under a metre trolling. So we'll do a bit of emphasis on that. I didn't mean any hard bodies, but that's okay. You don't need it so much. Yeah. And what we're going to do is talk about the gear, then we'll go through each one of those scenarios with you. So we're going to talk about the gear, then we're going to talk about bait fishing first, and then we're going to move to soft plastics, and then we're going to move to skirts, and then last we'll probably do jigging and casting like stick baits and stuff like that, which is really good fun. So we'll talk about the gear first. So what have you got there, Stewie?
Start off with the lightest, Dougie?
Yeah, lighting. Yeah. Yeah. So this is an outfit I sort of use. This is like a 10 to 20 pound. This is Loomis with a 5,000 Benford on it, which is one of the new Shimano reels. They cast a mile. So when I'm casting for the dollies, we're using like anything like that type of thing there in the soft plastic, around 4 to 6 inch. And this is the light rod, so a bit of fun. And the dolphin fish at the moment aren't all that big. So you all know dolphin fish grow 7 centimetres a week, which is very quick. And they're the fastest growing fish in the ocean. They grow from babies to that big in 2 years. That's their life cycle, or 18 months, and they die obviously. So they're just super hyperactive fish, and that's the reason why they're so aggressive. Because they're just on speed the whole life, I think. They're on something. But anyhow, it's a natural thing. But if you get them in the boat, you'll know how much they crash your boat up. They just smash it to pieces, especially a big one. So there's a lot of rules we'll talk about on maintaining the right workplace in your boat, so you don't get smashed up by dolphin fish when you get to catch them. Talk about that later. But so leader, 30 pound fluorocarbon, or 25 to 40 pounds. Okay, that's my leader on this type of outfit. They have a really raspy mouth. Like dolphin fish look like they've got no teeth, but they've got really aggressive little, like 80 grit sandpaper teeth. So a good dolphin fisher does a few head shakes and jumps out of the water a few times. They're like a 30 pound leader, even fluorocarbon, just super strong, is just about shaved through. So every fish you need to check. Hang on, you need to check the line just above the hook, above your bait, if you're using bait, or above your soft plastic. and if it's shaped so flat, it's very much like a flathead type rasp on your line. Cut it, retie it, get back out there. Obviously, you'll know fluorocarbon is a lot more abrasion resistant than mono. So 30-pound fluorocarbon is like 50-pound mono in abrasion resistance. That's how you sort of work it out. So you can fish a lot lighter, a lot thinner, and a lot tougher for the same poundage. So you can sort of divide it nearly in half and fish that lighter amount for the same amount of strength in abrasion, not as in pull strength. The braid I'm using on this, I think, is around about 20 pounds or maybe 30, 20 I think it is. 300 metres on there, so there's heaps of line on there. Thanks, Stuart. But that one there, I can get that right down to like a about a 1/8 50 size jig head, which is very small. Because most of the plastics these days are fairly heavy, right? So you can get enough weight out of that on that sort of thing to cast at 40 metres on something that small. If I just pass that around, maybe.
How long is the metre?
About a metre, a bit over a metre maybe, because you're only using 20-pound braid. So you braid, you got a dolphin fish that's 1.2, the line's on his mouth here, like a metre may be shorter than his tail. When he's swimming away from you and the tail's slap on your lines, the chance it may bust your braid, you know. So just a little bit longer is better. The downfall is if you're not good at doing your knots, I'm terrible, I just do lots of knots. But if you're not good at doing your knots, when you got 1.5 metre of line up your rod when you're casting, you tend to get a lot of pull-throughs on the, like hookups on the knot on the way through. So you get a big cast that just flings back and hits you in the head. It doesn't work, right? So you need to get your knots perfect or use a very light, like a wind-on leader or something like that type of thing there, which you can get down to about 40 pounds, I think now, or 20 pounds, even very light, I think 40 pounds.
You just want like a seamless joint.
Yeah, seamless joint. So then you can get no issues in your casting at all.
Yeah.
So it's really important to get your knots right or do that. Or you run shorter leaders, that's a safeguard, but there is a chance that the fish may break your line off with its hyper tail. Heavier one, Stuart, got there, buddy.
Heavier one, mate.
So the next one, so that one is going to come money casting, right? Or, no, sorry, I'll take back what I said. That lighter one too, I love casting out unweighted pilly on it. So it's a cube, which I'll talk about a bit later on that lighter one. The next one, that heavy one here is like sort of like a bit heavier than a micro jig rod. It's a PE2 to 4. This one's got 30-pound braid on it. I think the leader on there may be 40-pound fluorocarbon, or 30 again, I'm not sure. And this one I'm using from anything from jigging to dropping a live bait out and having a bit of fun, to flicking a pilly out and still casting a bigger, maybe a bit bigger plastic in that sort of size there with maybe a bit bigger jig head. Because I can't cast big heavy jig heads on that one there, sorry. You know, you all know yourselves when you're out there fishing at this time of the year, the current starts to increase. And as the current starts to increase, your gear has to go a bit heavier to maintain the bigger sinkers and whatever you're using. So you can't go out there, unless you're using unweighted and casting it right up current and letting it come down, you just can't put a 1 ounce jig head on that little light rod there because you may break the tip off or something. Something like this is fine. So if you've got something like that, it's fine. Okay. The reason I keep looking at spin reels at the moment is because we're doing a lot of casting. So unless you're good at pitching like a 2000 OSHA jigger out or something, which some people are, stick with the thread lines, a lot easier to use. That's a 4000 sustain on that one. Next one, heavier. This is what I give everyone might take out with me. This is the like a bit heavier type rod, so it's a 8000 Stratic, I think, one of the older ones. It's on a sort of 15 to 30-pound rod, and that one's got 40-pound or 50-pound braid on it. So that's just like you can troll with it. You can cast, you can still cast the plastic out. You can definitely cast a sort of 40 to 60 gram stick bait out, and you can just put a bait out, live bait out on as well. So very general purpose. So most of you probably got a heavier rod like that style as well. Depends how much fun you want to have. If you want to have fun, then stick with those first two lighter ones. But if you want to get a few fish in, or they're a bit bigger size, especially say come January when they're all over a metre, that's the sort of size you should be using. If you want to get a feed in, you'll get half a dozen into one on those lighter ones. It's great fun on the one, but it just takes you half an hour to get one in. Yeah. And the sharks are a drama, eh? Sharks are a problem at the moment. Okay, this is the go-to. So if we're getting smashed or we want to troll some skirts around, and I'll either use that, or we just want to grab that, those two there, mate, yeah. Like a TLD or something like that. So it's like trolling sort of skirts around. Most of you may have like a TLD 20, 15 or 25 or something in that vicinity with 30 pound braid on, 30 pound mono, sorry. And that one's got a 100 pound wind on leader as well. This one here, I think 50 or 60 pound braid. It's on sustain, 10,000, and a bit heavier rod, sort of like a P3 to 5 or 3 to 6, which is sort of up to about 80 pound rod. That's the type of thing I like to troll with, because it just seems to work better on trolling, especially if you put a diver on or something like that, like an X-Wrap or whatever, rather than these lighter rods that bend right over backwards. So if you've got something like that at the heaviest end, that's what you troll with at the heaviest end. Okay, if you've got half that size, that's fine, like a Torium 16 or a little Talika or whatever. Perfect. Thanks, Stuart. And the other thing we didn't talk about was bait runners. So how many people own bait runners? Yeah, a few of you do. So bait runners are a great thing to cast. Thanks, Stuart. To cast the billies out on. So when we're using bait, you preset the drag at whatever tension you want. It's quite tight. You cast it out. You pull the lever back, that disengages the spool, and you just leave it in free spool. Because a lot of time when you're fishing with pillies, half pillies or third pillies, whatever, I've left my bar alarm open the whole time on those other reels. I didn't tell you that, but keep it open the whole time. And it's cast it out. You're watching it fall, it's just coming off, slow sinking, and then all of a sudden it just flies out 100 miles an hour. You've got to get that bail back over, right? But on a bait runner, if you see that click ends, what happens is you can have it actually we can have that closed, and it will slowly tick off with just with the weight and inertia of the line sinking. You can drop that right back, or you can put a bit of tension on it. And when the fish starts running with it and it starts running faster and faster and faster, you just turn the handle, and it's like a dog on a chain. It runs, it gets pulled back. It's the same scenario. You turn it and it sets the hook because it can't go any further. And then you just play it in, but have your drag preset, otherwise you'll snap your line when you do that. But bait runners are really popular. But the thing of bait runners is you need a really soft tip rod. It's really important to make them work properly. Okay? Just like a float line. Where are you going to set the drag at? Probably around, I think that's on these we put, I
think that's 30.
30, is it? 30 pound braid. So I'd probably set it at around about 4 kilos, mate. Yeah, around about that. Yeah.
Just like pretty firm to pull out by hand, yeah. Yeah,
just sort of, quite a stiff pull. And then this is the other outfit, which obviously this all relates to this here, what we're talking about. This is a little jig outfit. So a lot of people don't understand, but when you're out trolling around or casting around and there's a lot of boats around a fad, people think the fish have gone off the bite, but it's not necessarily that's the case. They've either swam away a bit from the fad or they've gone down deeper, which we'll talk about on the board here shortly. So when they go down deeper, we've got a few guys the last few years, including ourselves, have got into like jigging with them with micro jigs and octo jigs and whatever. They just smack it. But you're talking like the downs, say you're fishing out on, say even at the 50s fad, then in 90 metres or 85 metres, they'll be down sometimes 30, 40 metres down. And you drop your jig in and just slow pitch jig it. And they just whack it. They whack it on the fall actually mainly. But on the 36s, the same scenario, they'll be down about 20 metres or 15 to 25 metres. We'll talk about that a bit later on, but that's a really nice jig out for that one. But anything in that sort of small, either speed reel or overhead, a very light tip to make the lure make it work right. So any questions on the gear at all? So if you've got any like that, you're fine, okay? If you haven't got it, we got it. Okay, braids and lines and mono. So guys always ask, what's the best, braids or mono? So when you're trolling, I used to troll with mono, and I still do on a couple of my reels. And mono is really good for people who don't know how to fish properly. Because when dolphin fish, when they're jumping, they're quite aggressive, right? And if you've got braid, it's very aggressive on the rod too. And if you don't know, like if you hold the rod tip up too high, whatever it might be, it might snap your rod tip, or it may pull the hook out, or whatever it might be. You've got to work with the fish jumping. When you got braid, when you got mono on, it's got so much stretch, it does all the work for you. So even a person that never fished before could probably get the fish in without losing it, and without damaging the gear. So it's a lot easier. But if you know what you're doing and you're getting into fishing, I only troll with braid now. I love trolling with braid. It's a lot more aggressive, when we trial for mackerel, we're going to use braid. Even marlin, we're going to use braid. Sailfish, braid's fine. Okay.
Is it braid top shot, or are you just talking braid?
Yeah, generally top shot is easier and cheaper. Like 100 metres, 80 metres, 100 metres is enough. You rarely get a fish to take out more than 100, unless it's a marlin or something. Yeah. For mackerel and dolphin fish, 100 metre top shot is fine. So what we mean by that is, so we might have a reel like the TLU25, whatever it might be, and we'll sort of 3/4 fill it with 15 kilo, whatever, and then we'll join it with whatever good knot you can do to say 40 pound braid or 50 pound braid, and then just wind it on 100 metres or 150 metres as a top shot. And every year it'll get down shorter anyhow, get caught in a prop or get caught in your mate's line, whatever. And you just cut it off and retie it next season another 100 metres on. That's cheap and easy way of doing it. It works well. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is with braid, because it's so thin, the diameter's a lot thinner, your lures are going to dive deeper, they're going to work better, it's a lot more direct, and as Doug said, it doesn't have that stretch, so when you move your lure or you see your rod tip working,
it's instant,
yeah, it's live, it's not like the delay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in braids, guys, there's new braids coming out all the time, and the braids are getting thinner and thinner and thinner, as Stewie's saying. I'm just going to cut off a little bit of braid here. Actually, I've got some mono here first. There's new monos out too. So there are monos now that have less stretch and are much thinner. So I'll pass these two around here. Let's just have a look first before I tell you what size they are. They're very, very similar in thickness. The opaque colour one will always look thicker because it's like an optical illusion, but if you got the micrometer onto it, it's very similar, okay? But it's more visible than the clear one. But in braid, same scenario. This braid here is 30 pounds. Shouldn't have told you the size first, but anyhow. And what thickness is that, Stuart, in millimetre, mate? The one you got there?
0.28.
0.28, and this is 0.28 as well. Pass them both around and you'll have a look. So what we're getting in thickness in braids is that if you have no reef obstruction or anything that's going to bust you off, as in obstacles, you should always use the thinnest braid you can use. Like, so guys that stick bait fishing on the surface or we're away from the reef preferably, or just the open ocean with dolphin fish, they're not going to take you on the bottom and reef you, right, normally. So you're able to use the thinnest line at its fullest, so you can cast your lures further, you can troll your lures deeper, you can feel your bait better, and when you've got current wind, you get less drag on it, so it works a lot better to have thin line. So take advantage of that for this species, that's what I'm trying to say, for dolphin fish, because it just works better.
I'll just leave it in the packet so they know what it is.
Okay, good idea. Yeah. So these two come around, you'll see they're actually the same thickness. And one is, like 832 is a great braid, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic braid. It is extremely good on reef and that sort of thing for abrasion resistance. Actually, it's the best in the world.
It's probably the best, yeah.
Best in the world compared to any other brand known to man at this stage. But it's 0.28, okay. This is Grappler, which is a new line from Shimano. It is possibly the thinnest line in the world for the same measurement. So it enables you to give the fish a lot more stick and crank the drag up a lot more. You know, because when we get towards, say, February, March, and even April, if you do get there and there's still dolphin fish out here, their general size is about 1.3 metres and around about 15 to 20 kilos. And if you're out fishing out wider, they could be up to 1.6 metres and 25 to 35 kilos. They're big. So your 30-pound line's not really going to cut the grade. Okay, so you'll need 70 or 80 or whatever it might be. So that one's 30, this one's 74, 73.6. That's what I'm trying to say. So we'll pass these two around still to show you. But they're two totally different lines. One's designed for thinness, for that sort of what we're talking about, and one's designed for
like
abrasion resistance. Yeah. And actually the 832 is about common size. It's not actually really thick. It's actually not too bad. Yeah. But it's just the new stuff out. The thin side is really good. Okay, we talked about the leader. So fluorocarbon versus mono. Fluorocarbon is extremely thin. Not thin, sorry. It's the same thickness, but the poundage in abrasion resistance is a lot stronger. So 50 pound mono is like 30 pound fluorocarbon in abrasion resistance. Strength-wise though, it goes back to like we just talked about before, if you've got a real big one on, 30 pounds not going to do much help when you need a 50 pound if you don't have to worry about the abrasion resistance. But with dolphin fish, they have a raspy mouth, so you do need the abrasion resistance and you need a bit of strength to fish a bigger fish. So it's all depends on the size of fish you're catching. Yeah. Any questions on the leader and braids at all? Just going to go through the gear. I know it's a bit boring this part, but just to get you guys up to speed. Hooks and stuff.
Just to clarify, you're saying
Yes.
that 70 pounds, that's for the lead, that's not the main line?
That's the main line.
That's the main, yeah.
Main line, so that's the braid. So in this case scenario, we're not top shotting, we're just using braid directly to our leader and utilising it. Yep.
And that's for the bigger fish later in the season?
No, you'd use that now because you can fish it like 30 pound, but you've got the advantage of not having to change later. You just use the one all the way through. If you do get a big one on, you can go hard. Yeah. So it enables you to use smaller reels, because the smaller reels these days, the drag on is just ridiculous. You know, what was 5 years ago a 5,000 size reel, 4,000 size reel, used to have like 4 or 5 kilos of drag on it. Now it's like 11 to 13 or 15, it's crazy, which is like a Tiagra 50. And a little thing like this, you know, size of that little one there. So I think that little one there actually has like 13 kilos of drag or something.
Yeah, the little Vanfords, they've got heaps.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I can fish that really hard. I could put that line, 70 pound line and nearly work it as a harp. It'll break my rod. So then my rod doesn't suit. So, but again, in rods, see that, let's trust that bait caster back here. Sorry, it's true. Rods are getting scenarios. It's just like fishing gear is like anything. It's just getting so modern. This is crazy. We're trying to keep up to it. But see this little rod here, like it's like a little whiting stick, right? Or bass stick or something like that. But this will take, so I just want to use my glasses, sorry guys. I was squinting. This is P3, so this is 58 pounds. That'll take 58 pounds and you can fish as hard as you can on 58 pounds. It's ridiculous. And like 5 years ago, that would be probably maybe 20, 25 pounds.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago to be 6, or 15 years ago. So it's just crazy. And that's a grappler. Grappler, yeah, Shimano grappler. So that they use carbon that they cross weave in every direction. So whichever way it bends, one direction is holding up the other direction. If that makes sense. Where before it was like just wrapped like that, and when it got under load, it just snapped. You know, yeah. So it's really incredible what's happening in technology. But it's enabling us. All this is enabling us to fish a lot lighter, which is so much more comfortable than the old. When I first started fishing years ago, it was like Penn Senator 6.0s and rods like that, you know, and that was 50 pound. And the drag on that little thing or that little egg bead is stronger than my old Penn Senator 6.0 because you could easily pull it off locked up with a pair of pliers on it. So it's so changed, yeah. But it's beautiful to use. Okay, hooks. In hooks, there's so much innovation in hooks too, but generally speaking, if I'm going to do float lining for dolphin fish, anything up to around about sort of 10 kilo, I'm only using about a 3.0 or 4.0 hook. Okay. If I'm float lining with pillies for them, and it's say end of December, I'll jump that up to a 5.0. It's all relative to the size of the fish as it's getting bigger. Not that these would probably bend on a 15 kilo fish, but it just they've got quite a hard mouth around here, and their head's like a rock when you hit them on the head. Sorry, mate.
You've got to get back in the deeper.
Yeah, you got to get. That's right. Yeah, you got to get in around the mouth. So 5.0s will be better as they get bigger. It's all relative to the fish size. I think in your bags you have a couple of different sizes there. The bigger ones are like at the end of the season, but the bigger ones are also suitable for live bait as well. I like to use Shinto hooks. They're very strong. They're Japanese steel. They're very, very sharp. And I've never broken or bent one ever yet. Another thing that a technique of fishing for dolphin fish, if you haven't tried it yet, is I'll pass these around. It's like this type of thing here. So these little gang hooks with swivels in between, and they're what we call dress. So they have that little skirt on the back. And what you do is you throw an unweighted pilly up current, let it sink. If it doesn't get hit on the sink, this is. Hopefully it does. But let it sink, and then just crank it back. You can speed up a little bit and crank it back towards you. It'll come up to the top pretty quick. But generally, with that bit of stuff on the top, it sort of gets them going, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's the fluttering of it or whatever it is, but they definitely do like it. So, and they're very strong hooks as well and sharp as well. So we'll pass that around. Yeah, they're whole peely, correct, mate. Exactly right. When I'm using whole peelies, I definitely cut the tails off, guys. I cut the tails off so it doesn't spin, and also I believe they smell it better because it's oozing out. Whatever.
Would you put a little weight on there too, just helps stick it as well?
If I'm using a heavier line, definitely, mate. Like if I'm using, say, the 50-pound braid, and there's a bit of wind and current, and I know it's going to get pulled to the top pretty quick because my boat's moving a bit fast. I'll probably put a pea size on there. Yeah. And I do like to use, I use normal singers too, but if I got them with me, I'll use the little pink ones or something. Just dolphin fish are very colour attractant type fish. Beautiful looking fish too, by the way, but they're as beautiful as the colour they like. So they like colours, and same in lures, you know, skirt lures. I think our biggest seller, my biggest workers by far is greens. Greens seem to work really well. I think green and purples aren't too bad in close, but greens seem to be the go. Pinks are really good. I think that's bright. Yeah, I like bright.
Yeah.
White's good too. Okay, another thing that's popular and we've been using over the years is just like getting your true tone hooks with the swivel in between, but the double hook, not the triple hook. So use a half pilchard on it. 2Os are good for the size dolphin fish at the moment for probably another month. And then you switch up to probably 4s or 5s at the end of the season. So the dolphin fish at the moment are at their most population, if that makes sense. So they're all turning up now. You go there and there'll be like hundreds of little ones swimming everywhere. And I know that some of the charter boats are a little bit disappointing, but some of the charter boats have been getting like 70 and some stupid amounts. They should let them grow up another 2 or 3 weeks at least, so then they happen. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So at the moment, if you want to catch lots of little ones, go out and do it. It's up to you guys. I can't stop you. And it's good fun. Like, you know, got to do it. You got to do it. Good for kids. Great for kids. But it only is the limit, whatever. But if you just wait another few more weeks, those little 3 kilo, 2 kilo fish will become 5 or 6 kilo. They're nicer size, nicer eating, and more meat, whatever, and great fish to catch. Sorry, mate.
Easy to fill.
Easy to fillet. That's right. Yeah, the little ones are like whiting fillets, skinny whiting. Yeah, so that's up to you guys, but yeah, that's what we do. The only other thing I want to talk about was we'll talk about the gear, is when you're trolling, troll with ball bearing swivels. They don't need to be very big. Size 4's plenty good enough. Thanks, matey. Sorry, buddy. Size 4's plenty good enough, and the reason being, if you put too big a swivel on and using too light a line, it doesn't really work properly. You need the right size swivel to work with the right size line and the right size lure to make it, if it needs to spin, it will spin easier, okay? If you have I see guys bring in like 6-pound line with swivels as big as my little finger on it, you know. It doesn't work that way. And I see other ways that guys got really heavy line with little tiny swivels, that doesn't work either, won't work. So you need to get the right size swivel. The reason we use ball bearing swivels, you don't need to go the deer ones, but just get reasonable quality like those ones going around, is that if you do get tangled up, right, a lot of time when we're trolling for dolphin fish, we have a tendency watching our lures all hyped up and it's just not happening, so you start talking to your mate. And then you're talking for 15 minutes, you look back, and either one of the reels has been spooled or something like that, or whatever, but the line has got weed on it, and then the weed's crossed over to the other line, and it's become a big conglomerate of braid and mono, normally. And if you have ball bearing swivels on, it's not too bad. If you have just like a crane swivel on or a cheaper swivel, it tends to be really ugly, and you've got to cut, the line actually twists. I don't know how it does it, but your line's tight on your spool, right? But for some reason the twist seems to go about 20 wraps under, even though it hasn't come off the reel. I don't know if you've seen that, if you had that scenario. I don't know how it works, but it does. So you've got to cut it right back, and you've got half a spool of line left. So just use a bit better swivel, it'll help eliminate that. But the best thing to do is watch your lines all the time. Have someone designated to watch.
How far off your plate would you set that swivel?
So if I'm trolling like skirt lures, my leaders, I only use short leaders, mate. So it's only a metre up the line, metre from the lure. I wouldn't use them at all when I'm casting baits. I'm trying to use no swivel at all. And when I'm casting lures, you can put like a fast stitch clip onto the front of the lure, which is just like so there's no swivel, it's just like a little ring with a little wire hook on it. And you just attach the lure around like that. It's very quick. If it doesn't work, you take it off and put another one on. But I wouldn't use a snap swivel even when I'm casting so much, unless the fish are really thick. Yeah, the strictly trolling, mate. Exactly right. Yeah.
Would you use a double at all?
So if I'm using a double, I always do use a double if I put a wind on leader on, because it's the way you attach it. But it's only very short, not a real long one. So the old days of running like a 9 or 10 foot double. I don't know, I don't use these two either.
Nah, don't worry about it. Yeah, I think it's a lot nicer grabbing onto a wind on than two skinny bits. Yeah.
Yeah, so wind on leaders are just very fluent, it's easy through the guides, they're easy to use, and as Stuart said, they're generally 6 metres long. So you've got 6 metres at 80 pounds, so you can, and because your rig's only very small and your lures, you can wind the fish right up to there and manhandle it, and obviously you set your drag accordingly. So if you've got a big one and it wants to take off, you can let go of it. There's no swivel that was 3 metres up from the lure, ripping you through your hand on the way through as it goes back off again, you know. So it's just a lot cleaner. Otherwise you just do your best knot you can do, or braid or GT, whatever you can do, lots of knots, and join your braid to your leader that way, and still have the snap swivel on the end, and then attach it straight to your leader. So most of these lures, when you rig them up, they have like a little loop on the end, and you crimp it, and just a little loop with a bit of protector on it, and that clips on. That goes where your clip goes through off your snap at the front of it like that. There's no swivel on that either. Okay. Unless you're using the Pakula rigs. Pakula rigs, they have a swivel down inside the skirt above the hook, which we sell as well. Okay, any questions on that gear at all? Okay, there's a couple of things I'll show you. One is a donger. Okay, getting back to what we were saying before about maintaining your boat. So when you're catching dolphin fish, if they're really on and they're not the little ones so much, but the bigger ones. The little ones you can just sort of reach over, do a wrap on the line, 30, 40 pound, 50 pound leader, and lift it in the boat and put it under your arm, and it'll slap a bit, but to get the hook out, whatever. Once it gets about that big, it's going to slap you around. And once it gets bigger, you've got no hope. You can hop on and it'll throw you off. It's like a brown bull, what they call them. It goes hard. And we've done that and we've had fun, but it's not going to get hurt. So yeah, so as I said last week, the secret is to have either if you've got a well in your floor, have it easy accessible, have ice or water in there, whatever. I like ice because it puts them to sleep. In a big esky, or a big esky, it's even better. Or a bag, one of those big bags, okay, and a few bags of ice and a bit of salt water in there. And as soon as you get them in, if you've got a snap swivel like on that type of rig there, you just unhook, because they've got the hooks in and they're very dangerous dolphin fish to get the hooks out. They're really dangerous. Most of our customers that get impaled in their hand is from dolphin fish. Marlin not so much, dolphin fish are bad. So you need to just unclip it at the top, leave the lure in his mouth, throw him in the ice circle. 5 minutes later you can go and get the lure out real easy. It's really quick and easy, and it's the best. If you try and dong them on the head while they're in the boat, you'll probably smash your mate's boat up pretty bad. Try and get us, they seem to flip out of the way all the time. And when you hit them, it's like hitting hollow, I don't know what it is, they've got a funny sound. And it doesn't matter how hard the bat is, it doesn't sound right. And they just keep shaking. They keep shaking. So their head's like, I don't know, steel.
They've got a thick head.
They've got an iron head.
Yeah.
And especially the males, the big males, the big deep head. So the females have got the little head, the males have got the big deep head, drop straight down. You can bash them as hard as you want, they don't feel it. So put them in the ice, that's the best way to cool them down. Okay, anything else there, Stuart?
No, some guys always like try to bend them in half, or they make those little things that wrap around their tail and a hook in their mouth. But I don't know, it's hard getting them to cooperate to put it on. So
you have to be, I don't know, you need to be a contortionist to bend them without getting your arms bent around from his tail.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty hard.
Yeah.
Anyone ever do that here at all?
Yeah.
No. You've done it? How'd you go, Kenny?
Well, it wasn't fun.
No.
No.
That was probably a big fella too.
Yeah, it wasn't any fun.
No, it's too hard.
My big one, I belted it a few times. The boat looked like a crime scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I ended up having an old towel in front.
Yes.
Threw it over its head.
Yes.
And that seemed to, calmed it a bit.
Okay.
Gathered a few donks and then threw it in the well.
Yes, good mate. No, that's not a bad idea. Wet towels, off what my dad used to do years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
that-
just heard, like, I wasn't sure if it's true or not, but it just
Yeah, no.
seemed to
I
help.
think they can't see, so
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Especially they don't see the back coming, that's right, yeah. But isn't it amazing how strong they are after you've hit on the head a few times? They're just amazing fish. Sorry about the greenies in there. Yeah, but anyhow. Yeah, so that's what we do. But so that's all. That's the live baiting gear and the rigging up gear for casting and pillies. Now, just the technique of doing it. Okay, so I just done this little drawing here on the scenario being say the 36 fads northeast. So a lot of people don't realise. They think the ball's the fad. The ball's not the fad. It's just, well, it is a little bit, but it's just in the water, right? It's what's down that rope or chain whatever they're using that attracts the fish. And most of them, I'm not quite sure about the government ones. I said last week, I'm trying to find out, still haven't found out. But most of the ones that are homemade have all these different things down, sort of from say 10 metres to 30 metres down the line, right? And it can be anything from, some guys use CDs. We're not meant to do this, by the way, because they're a navigational hazard, I think it is, they call it, for shipping or whatever, but lots of guys do. So they put streamers off and they put Christmas decorations, shade cloth, whatever, it'll attract bait, then attract the dolphin fish. Okay, and generally the line's quite long. So if you're in like 65 metres deep, the rope's probably 200 metres long. It must be a sinking rope because when it's not current, I never see any loose rope lying around, right? But if you've got a good sounder, which I've done here, this is a sounder shot, drawing sounder shot, if you can see that okay. But and a current's running, say 2 knots, the angle's generally like that. So that might be like 100 metres that way to the top, if you went back that way, and plus the incline. So the rope must be like a sinking type rope, where it has a chain attached. I don't know what it has on it, but it's when there's no current, the line still looks like it's straight down. But when there is current, it's moved about 100 metres to the south of where it originally was. But it's still got the same 2-ton bloody brick on the end of it, okay? Which is down here. But this is a scenario. So all that crap hanging off there is like sitting about there on the rope. So most guys will go to the float here and cast their line here. Yeah, there are fish in that area, but most of them are actually 50, we always have current this time of year, right? So most of the fish are like 50 metres or 100 metres north of where the fad buoy is. So for those of you who do a fair bit of this, you'll know that when you are fishing, if you go pull up straight at the fad, like in this instance here, you pull up here and you throw your line at the fad. By the time it sort of gets down a bit, your probably boat's back here and you pull it back away from the fad. You don't get many hits that side of the fad. But if you take the effort to go to that side of the fad and start up a bit higher, you'll get hits right up here. Because that's that scenario you're up here. Does that make sense? So just try working up north of the fad always if you've got a bit of current. If you've got no current, then try straight around it and whatever, when it's straight down. But most of the time we have current. So, and generally it runs about 2 knots for the next 3 months. It might get 3 knots even. So you need to start up here, like that's probably say 100 metres up or 150 metres up to the block. So start at least 200 metres up or 300 metres, and there'll be even fish up here. And most of your fish will be caught in that sort of 50 metres prior to the ball. Okay. But I have caught them here. I've caught them here. I've caught the odd ones here, but I've caught most of my fish in that area there. Yeah. When you get a lot of boats around though, coming in summer, and you get a lot of boats trolling, you get guys jumping in with spear guns, and there's a lot of painful moments, like a bit like Palm Beach Reef. The fish will spread out a bit, they'll disperse, and they'll go out here or here or out here. So have a troll around a bit wider. You'll see, just always be vigilant and visual when you're trolling for dolphin fish, because you'll see them jumping. And they look small, particularly in about another 2 months' time. They look like that big, but when you hook one up, they're that big. They're bigger. But you'll see them just jumping out here, and that's because they've moved away because there's too many boats around the buoy and too much action there. Or they've done when we jig, they've gone deeper. That's the two scenarios, okay? Is there any questions on that at all? So you need to work your drift out. So as I say always, go up. If I was going to say fish at that fad on the first guy there, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to about here, somewhere away from the fad, and get my gear ready, bait my lines up, put my light bait on, or put my pulley on, or get my casting one ready. And I drifted with the wind. I might have drifted back to about here in a 3 minute period. So, okay, I'm going to go just that distance there. So I'm not going to stop here and throw my line. I'm going to go up to about here. And if the wind's blowing a bit from the northwest, I'll go that side of the buoy, and hopefully I'll drift across in that angle across like that, and cast either out or down or whichever way, try and find where they are, to the buoy. I only cast the buoy close to it in that last little, sort of maybe 30 metres from the buoy, then I'll start casting at the buoy. But you get a lot of fish just out in the middle of nowhere, up from the buoy. Okay. And if you, that's with live baits obviously and pulleys. And if you are going to troll, if you can troll against the current if you want, but you're better off again coming in from whatever direction, get your line up and then come down beside it. Not too close to it though. A lot of guys just about try and run the buoy over. It's just suicide for your lure. Like it's going to come out and grab it and probably tangle up in the buoy. Or you think your lures are over here, but actually when you go past things, when your lure hooks up in the buoy, it's just the way it is, law of ethics. But you've got to actually really concentrate on understanding the drift. It's so important. And the current, which way it's running. Because the current sometimes goes that way. So if the current's going that way, then you need to troll that way with the current. Across it, with it, sorry. So work out your current first. Do your blind drift first and then go from there. The other case scenario is you get a lot of current lines this time of the year too. So if you've got current lines, you can go out here and actually look for like debris. So that's like, you get that sort of seaweed bunched up and a lot of crap, and there might be a few logs or sticks there. There'll be quite often bait there, and there'll be dolphin fish, those little red dots are the dolphin fish, in amongst that scenario. And this is the current line. You see it, that big brown slick, as clean as day, and there will be odd dolphin fish along it, which you might pluck off where you just troll along the edge of the current line. One side might be green, one side blue. Do you troll the green or the blue? I do both. One run that way, one run that way. Work out where the fish are, and then I'll switch to it. But generally, most of my hits will be when I go across this stuff here. Do you troll straight through the middle of it, or do you troll around it? I prefer to probably go across like this and then cut back across like that and bring my lures through it like that. Does that make sense? Rather than just troll straight through the centre of it. And then just get back on track again and do the same again the next scenario across like that. The lines will come through. Oh, sorry, go around like this, sorry, bring the lines through. If the current's running at 2 knots and you troll at 6 knots, well, your lures are going to be sort of not doing much going with the current, but that's the way they seem to work best. But if you troll against it and you're doing 6 knots, your lures are going to be doing 8 knots. And if you've got some lures, they will probably catapult, particularly divers, because you're doing a lot faster than what the actual speed is. Does that make sense? The lure's working harder. So in that case scenario, drop your lures back further so they don't work as hard, or you change the skirts and get rid of your divers. Because divers do work on dogfish as well.
Do you know something, Doug? That's the same thing you told me in 2003 when I first...
Still the same. Have you tried it?
It's actually...
Yeah, exactly.
All of my fish been caught trolling.
Yeah.
I never cast them. I just troll the current one.
Yeah.
That's all I've done.
Yeah, and it works.
It does.
So, but you got to look for that stuff in it. That's really important, eh? Yeah.
So the government fads have something down the line.
Well, this is what I'm trying to find out, Kenny. That's what I say. I can't find anything, but they would have to have. I would dare think it wouldn't just be a bit of rope. I wouldn't think. I know the ones that are that list you got there, guys. They're all fads, okay? Have you got 2 pages? You should have 2 pages. I got 1 page. But yeah. Stuart, just want to grab that empty bag over there, mate. Yeah, mate. Empty seat, sorry. Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about, mate. Yeah. So the gentleman just talked about subsurface fads. So subsurface fads. Thank you, Stuart. Oh, there's only 1 sheet, is it? Oh, it's 2. There you go. That one's only 1. Subsurface fads are on this list. Oh, we'll start at the top, sorry, first. So the first fad, okay, number 1. Number one fad is the one straight at the front of Q1. It's about 10 or 12 k's from the seaway. I've never caught a dolphin fish there yet. I've caught spotted mackerel that far, believe it or not, around it. Caught marlin around it, but haven't caught a dolphin fish. Has anyone caught a dolphin fish at the fad off Southport? No, I wouldn't think so. You seen them there? Yeah, right. Okay. I think it'd be a place that would work later in the season, and preferably when the water's clear. Fad 2, so that one's a really good fad actually. That's sort of just out past Spot X, or near Spot X. A little bit further south than Spot X, but not far. And it's a really good one for holding bigger dolphin fish. Has anyone fished that one at all? Yep, you know the one, it's a good spot. Fad 3 is the common one that we all fish, 36 fathoms northeast of Seaway. It's about 20k from the Seaway. Well, they say they've actually got 12 nautical miles in Seaway. They do tell you the distance on here. Didn't see that till now. But anyhow, yeah, so it's about 20k from the Seaway, and it's a great spot as well. And it's very productive. Fad 11 first. 11 is a bit further south of the east fads. And it's on 36. It's sort of about off, probably not quite Burleigh, but getting down that way. So it's fairly south. Fad 12, 12B and 12C are all very close. That's the triangle 3 fads off Southport, out the front. Has anyone fished that before? It's about 20k run. It's a great one to try as you go around the big circle. Or you can try each one as you go along. It's probably the best spot because it's like not too punished on one fad, but the one northeast that gets hammered if you're not there by about 4:45 this time of the year for the next 3 months, you're going to miss out, sort of thing, unless you go jigging. Fad 13. So Fad 13 is also another really good spot. It's the fad that's the most northern on the 50s northeast of the Seaway. It's on 50 fathoms and about 85 metres deep, 88 metres deep. Really big dolphin fish there come sort of Christmas to about the end of January. That's where we get a lot of big ones out there, like 12 to 18 kilos sort of thing. They love liveys out there. They love casting lures, which I'll show you about a bit later. That's a great spot. Fad 14 is probably the best fad for constant big fish and not being harassed by too many boats until after the seminar one last week. But it's about probably 3 or 4 mile or 5 mile north of the jumping pin bar out of the 36s. So it's about that's right. It's about a 34, 35k run up from the Seaway up to there. And the fish there are consistently bigger at the early time of the season. So if you do get a really good day and you want to go for a bit of a run, that's the go-to, because not many guys go from jumping pin and it's a bit too far for most little boats to go from the Seaway up. It's a really good spot. And the fish there, because if you ever fish the fad off Point Lookout, which is south of Point Lookout, about probably 8 mile or something, 6 mile, this is the next fad down. So anything that comes through there will stop at this fad, and it holds them, and it seems to hold bigger fish. Okay. And there's normally bait in that vicinity too, by the way, and a lot of marlin right now as we speak at that spot. Okay.
Yeah, just fix the weather, will it?
Oh no, mate, jeez. Okay, there's a Point Lookout fad there, the next one, okay, that's the one I was talking about. That's always fish as well for dolphin fish, because again, it's out in the middle of nowhere. And that one's also, by the way, in quite deep water. So that's in like about 75 metres or 80 metres deep. I'll turn that page over. Some of these are like further north. If you ever go off Lookout or off Moreton, there's some there for you as well. Bribey, Caloundra and Mooloolaba. We'll get over to page 3. Down, I'll go to Fraser if you want, guys. That would be great fishing up there for dolphin fish. So FAD, SFAD, that means subsurface FAD. So SFAD 1A, 1B, 1C. 3 fads that we have off here, and they're a little bit positioned like the fads east, those 3 fads in the triangle. It's like that out the deep, okay? but you don't see them. They're submerged 25 metres from the surface, or 20 metres, 20, 25. It's so the ships don't run them over. And how they look is that's the surface of the water there, and that's the bottom there, and then it's 300 metres deep, okay? And this is where the big dolphin fish live, and you can jig it, which is really good. So the big concrete blocks there, like I think it's about 1.2 tonnes or something, and it comes up and sort of 20 metres from the top, so that's 300 metres. It stops about here. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 really big balls on it, okay? I don't know if there's any other stuff, so I can tell you, Kenny, what's on this one, I know that. They have 6 big balls on it that keep it pulled up. And yeah, so you get yellowfin tuna, when you get the beta in there, you get blacks, you probably get blues too, but you definitely get stripies, striped marlin, you get a lot of really big bull dolphin fish, maybe even tuna, maybe an odd albacore or stripey coming soon, and of course big dolphin fish, yeah. So there's 3 of them, and they're positioned like so. And if you've got a good sounder, you'll see it on the sounder pretty easy. One of our customers saw it last week out there. Oh, yeah.
Certainly don't back off, keep going faster.
Sorry, mate?
When it hooks up, you want to keep going.
Oh, that's right, yeah, well, the big fish. So they've been out there for about, I think, 18 months or over 12 months now, and they didn't let the public know until about 2 weeks ago. The game club knew, we knew, but no one else knew. But I haven't fished it yet. I've been out there a few times, probably 20 times since I've been deployed, but I haven't fished it yet. Bottom fishing instead, with electrics. But yeah, so if you get a chance, you've got a big enough boat, and your boat, on a good day, you only need 5.5 metre boat to get out there. So I don't know if you guys, I keep telling this again too, but if you don't know, Point Lookout, Tweed Heads, 36 fathoms, 50 fathom reef, and then the shelf drops off at 50 fathoms. It starts to go from that angle to about that angle, and then it drops off at about 600 metres, which is not, it's, you know, the distance from 36 fathoms to 50 fathoms. Has anyone been from 36 to 50s?
Yeah.
How many guys put your hands up? Okay, more than half you. So the distance from there to there is it's closer to go to the 600 metre drop off than it is to go back into 36s. It's only about 15 k's from the 50s, so it's not much further out. Just seems a long way out. Well, you're 55 k's out, I guess, but it's a little bit of distance out. But that 300 metre line is actually probably about around about 12 k's past the 50s, roughly speaking. So if you're at 50 fathom reef fishing the fads, and the weather's really nice, and you've got the fuel and all that sort of stuff, and you know what you're doing, it's another 12 k's out to those 3 fads, if one had a shot. Okay. And I'll be definitely out there with live baits, so you can troll around, they'll come up to your lure, no problems at all. The marlin come up like 100 metres from down, 100 metres up to your lure when you troll over, no problems at all. And dolphin fish will do the same, anything does. I don't know how they see it, but they obviously see it. But if you want to jig it, that's definitely the area. Yeah, we've got to deal with the fisheries on getting jigs off it. Every couple of years we help them clean it up. So, so I suggest jigging out there. But anyhow, yeah, but that's where they are, guys. That's those last 3. Sorry, not the last one. The last one's different. But yeah. So that's the fads, okay? So other than fads, where else can we get dolphin fish? Well, one is the trolling the current lines, and the second one is looking for debris. You've got to keep a visual eye again. As I said last week, our best fishing on dolphin fish in my history has always been when we found a big log the size of this table floating, or even a bit of bamboo, one sticking straight up like that. And just pull. It's like you go to it's like the fish tank at SeaWorld nowadays. It's just fish everywhere, and they're rainbow runners. There's cookie cutters, there's sharks, there's wahoo, there's dolphin fish, and like they hold as many wahoo as they do dolphin fish. Those trees, they'll hold, you know, a school of 20, 30 kilo wahoo, 100 of them. You know, it's just amazing session. So, and you just start pegging out whatever you got in the boat. So forget about trolling lures, and then you just start throwing out stick baits and jigs and plastics, and everyone's just hooked up. It's just such a fun house thing. The trouble is you got to realise the current's going, you're having a session for 4 hours, and next minute look back and there's Brunswick heads. So you need to be vigilant on that too. Fuel is the problem, okay? So make sure you got fuel to get back. And we've done that too. We saw that bamboo was would weigh down off sort of Cabrita, and we drifted with it for about 3 or 4 hours, and we trolled, we cast, we did everything with my mates, and they had a fat time. And that was on 28.14 or 16, which is the latitude, which is Tweed's 28.10, so we're 6 miles south of Tweed. We're on 28.24. I think Brunswick's about 28, so we're only about 4 miles from Brunswick. In 4 hours, and the current's running about 2.8 knots that day, or even faster, and we just drifted like 10 or 12 nautical miles in that period, and which is a long way back, and we only just got back with fuel. So, but we had a good time. Yeah, you could tell the water police that, but anyhow. Okay, so if we see that object floating in the surface, and what do we do, or this fad here, whatever, we're now going to talk about casting soft plastic. So, and a bit later soon, we're going to put a video on which one of my friends did, Tim, and he did it earlier this year in January, I think it was, and it was just at the fads out the front here, and I think he was fishing on one of the Sea Pros fads. So, well, I'm not saying it's Sea Pros fads, it's someone else's fad that put out there, but Sea Pro fishes there a lot. But anyhow, it was a homemade fad, I think. There's that one that had like 8 boys joined together. Did you all see that there last year? Anyone see that? Like 8 white boys together?
3.
No, that one's actually a person fad, that one. This is like, it was like 8 white boys who used to stick up like that and then fall back down in the current. Yeah, that's a good spot. So you will come across some homemade fads out there sometimes this time of the year. Guys, someone puts them out. And they fish really good because everyone goes to the government fads not looking for other things in the water. As I keep saying, if you find something that's there, it'll hold fish for the next few months. So when you get to those fads, what you do is, like Tim's done, is you cast pillies in, or you throw a few pillies in like we always do, and you see the fish come up. It gives you some idea of the size of the fish, it gives you some idea how many there are, and then you prepare yourself for that scenario. So, okay, if I see a lot of little dolphin fish coming up, I'm going to use little plastics like that white one that's on there now. If I see bigger fish and a little bit bigger fish down deeper, I'll upscale my plastics a bit bigger, and I'll put from a 4.0 jig hook or 3.0 jig head to maybe a 5 or 6 to suit their mouth, okay? And the bigger ones like things faster. So work it faster, work your plastic faster. So has anyone cast plastics at fads before? No one?
Not successfully.
Not successfully, okay. Hopefully this will change. But keep your profile long and skinny, okay? Not fat and chunky, and not big paddle tail. Long paddle tail's okay, but not a short, chunky, fat one like a squidgy fish or something.
Like a shad style.
Yeah,
You want that slender. It sinks a lot quicker.
Yeah.
You can work it quicker.
Like this sort of shape.
It's a little more hydrodynamic.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So pass those around. Thank you. And jig heads, so if you want to get a long cast, and which you have to do sometimes with wind or current or whatever, you need to go bigger, heavier jig head. Up the ante to maybe a 1 ounce jig head. On a 4.0 or 5.0 probably I'll start at. But you'll need to go to something like that sort of size, okay, in the jig head size. This one's weedless. Weedless I wouldn't use that there because you don't need to worry about it, but these come rigged weedless, but that's the style of size you want to use. In the style of plastic going around, it's not plastic going around, it's just, what was that coming for?
Just like a little paddle tail.
Yeah, the paddle tail, yeah, that's right, yeah. These are really popular in this style because you can work them really fast and you can stop them one, and they'll flick and then they'll go again. The ones that we quite often use are gulp. I really like gulp because they're just like fish food. So the fish can't help but eat them. And bright colours like that sort of colour there. Okay, or that sort of colour there. Fire tiger, it's really good. And whites are extremely good, like the one going around now. But keeping it in that long slender profile, 5-inch or 4-inch minimum, and 5 to 7 inches is very popular. Okay. Pass those around.
And the other question that we get asked all the time is, do you use scent or do you not use scent? I never used to. Doug has for quite a while, but now we both 100% always use scent. And the best by far is the S Factor from Squidgy. Sticks on really good. It's quite thick, and it lasts about 20 cars type of thing.
Yeah, around about, quite a lot.
And it just
Not on my cast, because
smashes.
my fish get eaten
That's
off.
right. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. But we've got guys that put them on jigs.
Yeah.
They put them on
Yeah,
everything.
everything. Yeah, all your hard bodies. Does anyone ever use that? Anyone not use that?
Yeah.
Turn up if you don't use it.
Yeah,
Okay, you
it's
should
really
know. I'll
good.
pass it around so you know about it.
Yeah.
It's got UV colouring in it as well, and it's extremely good. And it's like that'll last you. Well, it depends often you fish, but it'll last you probably, I don't know, a half a year maybe.
About 5 tubes in the boat.
Yeah, there you go,
Yeah.
mate. Exactly.
I think I've got enough.
Yeah, that's right.
And you still be looking for it.
Yeah.
Oh, the gold one's not too bad.
That one's good
Yeah,
too,
no, it's
yeah.
not too bad, but I just can't get it past that one room.
That one's good because
Yeah.
That's what I mainly want to use anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, if your mate's got some, steal it off him. Another thing I'm going to try this year, I haven't tried them last year, but I've just been doing, and Stu's been so well on these too, is the shrimp, like that type of thing there. Like, I would dare think they're eating prawns all day long, right? They have to be. Although when I clean them, I never see a prawn, I always see little fish in their guts. But I just reckon they'd have to scoff it. So that type of thing you'd rig up on like those little jig heads going around at the moment. Just with this straight through the front here and hook out the top here. And just flicking that, I think it'll just, they just go hard on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a fish in the ocean that wouldn't eat a prawn. Like even in weird spots too, like we've done a lot of tailor fishing in the surf this year. And when you clean them when you get home, they're just full of little prawns. I've never seen a prawn in the surf, but they're obviously there. So they work really well.
So with your plastics, it's just a cast up current, obviously work out where it's going to drift down to. You don't need to let it sink very far, but a little bit. They get hit a lot in the fall. So just leave your bail arm open always. As I said, don't close it. If you close it, it's got to drag it slowly back. You're not going to fall as quick, and the action's not quite as fluid, like not natural. But when you always leave the bail arm open, this is any fishing too, by the way, you should do this. But leave it open. It's just coming off. It's falling naturally straight, vertical, and they just will hammer that straight away. So just remember that little technique. Is there any questions on the plastics at all, folks? Shall I pass that around too? Okay, all good on the plastics? Perfect.
Did you say to burn and kill?
Yeah, Zach. Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, so exactly right. Oh, just burn, mate. But hopefully you get hit on the fall. If you don't, just start winding pretty fast, and they'll just whimper. It's quick, very quick. But sometimes we've been out there, the dolphin fish are a pain in the backside. They don't want to know about anything. So no matter what you throw at live baits, lures, they'll come up, someone come and look at it. Even when you throw out the chopped up pillies, they'll come and look at it and they'll just swim away. Well, that's what
a lot
those
of
guys do.
now, yeah. Yeah.
There's too many sharks there for me, but
Yeah.
I don't know what you can do in those days, but I keep always referring back to bite time, so maybe it's the bite time they just don't want to bite and you've got to hang around for that bite time. Go bottom fishing for a couple of hours.
What size stick baits?
Yeah, stick baits I'm talking about now. So keeping it small, mate. Yeah, keep it small, Courtney. So we have a pretty good dedicated lot of customers that come in that only throw sinking stick baits and lures at the dolphin fish, at the fads, particularly out the wider fads, like 50 fathoms, and they smash really big fish, like 15 kilo ones and whatever, heads on like this, on small lures, so not necessarily so big. So our biggest seller by far is the in the range of X-Wraps in the mag sinking ones, like that type of thing there. So you don't need to change anything. They're hardware, they have really good hooks on them. They are expensive. They're like, even your price guys are like $26 or $27 a pop, but they're really, really good. And they do a bib version that actually swims, or they do just a stick bait version that you can just twitch and it'll sort of dart around the joint. They also do a slightly bigger one, which also works really well, which is the long cast minnow. So these are 42 grams, so you can cast a mile, even on 30 or 50 pound braid. And this is 38 grams, the long cast. A slightly bigger profile. The finish on these guys, like you want to eat it yourself. It looks pretty good. It's pretty good.
What's the method with those?
So the method of those is let it fall, but they'll fall really quick. They're quite heavy, so it's like 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces nearly, ounce and a half. And then just twitch, just like you would work a normal lure for bow or anything, you know. And a little bit of fall before you twitch it again. You can get into just a steady wind if you want, but generally just a twitch, and then wind it, twitch, wind. Yeah. And they'll come hook it out and grab it as well. Sometimes if you see those fish down quite deep on the sounder, I'd let it sink for maybe 20 seconds, Kenny, or more, and then work it back up. Like a jig sort of thing, you know? Yeah. One of these is going to grab this one. So you'll see the two rapalas here. One's got a bib and one doesn't. Let me see it coming around, you can see what I'm talking about. So the bib one is more of a slow wind with a twist, not slow one, but quite fast, but more of a twitch action because it's working. The stick bait is one I'd probably work more in the jigging style. Every time you lift it up, it'll do its thing, you know? Yeah, change direction. Even though it's heavy, it'll still change direction. There's another new one out, which Stu and I really like. We haven't tried it yet. It's called Debu Nairo. Debu means fat. Well, that's my wife. She's Japanese. She calls me Debu all the time. But Debu Doug. But it's Debu Nairo. But it's got the weight, and it's got, I reckon it's going to kick butt. Any Japanese works, any of it. Yeah. It's really a good, similar price. I'm just trying to see the weight on it. Can you see the weight on this, Stu?
I've seen these guys in the water too, and they kind of walk really good. It's like a walk the dog action underwater. 40 grams.
40 grams, so good weight.
And it's a very odd shape. We'll pass it around, but it looks really good.
And the other stick bait we sell lots of is the pintails. The pintails, those of you who use heavy stick baits, these are like legendary. Guys use these for tail and spotty mackerel and Spanish mackerel. They have a really unique shape with a really flat side that shimmers light really good, really well. And I think that's probably the draw card for this particular lure. Nomad, they're little mad scads, another really good one, the fellow there. And that's the new Yakka colour. It's a really laser gold. It's a really good colour. I reckon it looks like a Yakka. Probably work pretty well, I think. I haven't tried that yet because it's only a new colour. Can't say how good that one goes.
Have you tried the new flying fish lure yet?
Yeah, I haven't been out to use it yet. I was only going to throw it. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't been out yet.
No, we sold a lot of them. Yeah, they look good, yeah. Rigging them up, I don't know, but they've got to work on dolphin fish too. The little 140s will definitely work on the dollies, I think. Yeah, and believe it or not, dolphin fish, in a lot of lures, dolphin fish love dolphin fish colour. And like, I think fish eat their own fish, maybe. I don't know. But in skirt lures and even in jigs, we sell a lot of the dolphin fish colour for guys that are pretty good at catching dolphin fish. So, yeah. There's actually, there's quite this pintail 48. This is 48 grams. This is a really heavy sucker. A lot of the Japanese lures, unfortunately, don't come with hooks. You got to put your own hooks on, but they come with rings because it's the way they sell them. But yeah. So surface lures, like I have not caught many dolphin fish on surface poppers. I can be honest with you. I've caught a couple, I think, in my time, but not much. Nothing like a sinking lure. So has anyone caught a surface popper on a dolphin fish on a popper or stick bait on the surface? Anyone here? No. Anyone tried? Okay, well you guys need to stop watching whatever you're watching. Get out fishing.
There's no reason why they wouldn't work. Like a skirt's on the top, but I think it's just the fact they don't cast as far, and like a sinking stick bait casts heaps further.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Unless they're up the top feeding.
Like you see them jumping on the surface all the time. I don't know if they got something up their backside and that's why they're jumping in the water. I'm not sure.
Some shark, yeah.
Maybe, exactly right. But I've separate, as you said, skirts, but they're 50 metres back on
Yeah,
the
that's
boat.
right.
Don't know why they don't take it. Okay, any questions on hard bodies at all, guys? All cleared up? Cool, yeah, good. Okay, jigs. So this is the unknown secret. And a couple of my mates who talked about this about 3 or 4 years ago, Steve and Jeff Smart, if they're not watching, I'm sorry guys. But the secret's out about 2 years ago. But we got quite a lot of people now jig on the dolphin fish, and it's like really, really good fun and really, really successful. And when you see guys trolling past you and casting around, chucking live baits out, they're wondering what you're doing. So, yeah, you got to fish on them, because you got little kingies and amberjacks around those fads too. If anyone has caught those, you guys caught them at all? Yeah, a couple of you have. Yeah, tuna as well. Oh, yeah, the tuna they smash it. Yeah, no, pain in the backside, especially little mac tuna. But and big bonito, they're out there too. But it's very successful. So jig wise, around that, it depends on the size line you're using. Of course, if you're using a light outfit like the little jig out there with say P3 on it, which is around about 60 pound or 50 pound, I'd be running sort of that. It depends on the current and that, but around 60 grams, maybe 80. You don't need to go to 100 like you are for the kingies and stuff. You want to do more fluttery and more action. Okay. Longer type little jigs like that type of thing there would work as well, with a bit more faster action, because they don't mind fast action. Okay. But they definitely like a flutter fall. So that's why a lot of your plastics get hit in the fall, and that's why a lot of your hard bodies also get whacked. When you pause and they flutter a bit, they just whack it. So they definitely are into fluttering type situation, but at the same time they like fast stuff too. So I'll just pass a couple of these around. I think you guys would make it be easy for you guys to catch them on. The thing we haven't used the dough can yet.
We haven't used it, yeah.
No. So you see Stu always raving about dough can. He's a dough can crazy man for him.
I reckon they're the best snapper jig there is. They're really good. They catch absolutely everything. They come with really light hooks, but they're really strong. And fishing them on those lighter rods that are quite soft, I've never straightened one yet.
But we haven't tried the dolphin fish yet. That's what we're getting at. So
yeah.
I believe they will smack the dolphin fish big time. So they're cheap as like the 40 gram is like $13 or something. But they definitely do work. Thanks, Liam. Good timing, mate. So they come in a whole range of colours, and we sell lots of them. But I have to get there and use them on the dolphin fish. I haven't tried it yet, and Stu hasn't tried it. We'll get one day and do it soon.
Yeah, I've just bought a couple of them. They're rigging them as well.
Yeah.
As a pre-rig to you.
Yeah. Okay, so when
it
you
depends on what size leader you use.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So when you do buy these guys, I'll just quickly pull one apart and show you. I'll pass the big one around. That's 120 gram.
I was thinking like a 50 pound leader.
Yeah, that's right. So with these, doesn't matter if it's the 120 gram or the 40 gram, the hole that they slot into is the same in everything, okay? Yeah. So on the little fellow, you probably only use around about 30 or 40 pound leader, so you can actually thread it through and pull it back through the hole generally if you're using good leader. So what it means is when you buy this in two pieces like that, okay, right? And there's two assist hooks in here which are very, very sharp, and there's a top and it's got a little alien eyes on it. They're coming, and you get a writing on the top. It says dough can, and that's the end. You put the line in, and it comes out down the bottom here. Okay, I'll rig one up in one sec for you. And if you tie your 20 or 30 pound line directly to that, you can actually get the knot inside that little hole and pull it up inside and lock it in. So it locks in like that. Okay. Now you can use it as a slide, which means when you drop it down, that'll go that way. As soon as you jig on it, that gets pulled up to it. And they really like that, supposedly. Snapper do, but I would think the dolphin fish really like it too. I'm going to try it. Or you can use it fixed. Sorry. Put my glasses on. Only goes in one way. Fixed doesn't work then, does it? Fixed in that little slot. And like so. So that knot gets pulled up inside there. But if you use over 30 pound, mate, it doesn't work. So what you got to do then is you got to do a loop knot.
I'll
which
rig it up, Dougie.
Yeah, if you want to do it
Yeah.
now, Stu will show you.
So loop knot's a little bit of a pain, but it's not too bad.
And this is the only way I've learned in the last year that we've been using them how to use a heavy leader on it. Because when we're fishing for pearlies, we smash them on that one going around, like 100 metres, 120 metres deep for big pearlies. And we use 60 pound leader, so we have to do the loop knot style. It's the only way to do it. But when you see it coming around, so loop knot, guys, is just like a granny's knot, a granny's loop in your line. It's the same lure you use for tying on your lures for any fishing, barra, flatties, doesn't matter, jig heads. So you do a granny's loop, and I'll draw it, if you can see here. Let's get rid of a bit of this here. So this is your line. You just do a granny's loop, so you go through and through it, you know what I mean? And make a granny's knot. And then you go down through the jig head, through here, and it comes out here. And then you thread it through the little eyelet at the end here, little eye on the end of that skirt. Thread it through there, and then thread it back through there and back out. Then that knot should now be sitting somewhere down around here somewhere, tight around here. So you've pulled it down as you go back up again. You go through the knot, you just do, you can do however many twists you want, but just one's not enough. Go back through that loop and pull it down, and it all locks in right about here. Like Stewie's done now going around. Did you leave it not pretty hot close to it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you do it. So
So
just
you actually lock the...
Yeah, I always lock the
I like it
tail
locked in too.
corner,
But
yeah.
yeah, but Coddy, I believe on dolphin fish though, and I have used on the snapper loose, it works really well because when you let it free fall, it actually pulls through.
Yeah.
And then when you do the first lift up, that skirt comes flicking through the water. That's why I get hit a lot of time on the lift.
Yeah, I always just leave them.
Leave it
Swing
loose.
in.
Yeah. Yeah, which is the way they do it in New Zealand. But here we're used to running a fixed skirt on our head, which we've got the technique right for it. But so this one here, if you want to do that technique, that's how you do it on the heavy leader. 20 or 30 pound, you can go directly to it, and the knot will pull up inside. Yep. But if you ever want to give one of that type of lure a go, that's the go.
I find I put it in my rod, just put it in the rod.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
matey.
I put big cobia,
Everything on them.
snapper, everything.
Yeah,
You don't
that-
put anything.
they're amazing, mate. A soft tip rod helps though. Just the action, it sort of flicks it up and then it falls down again.
Yeah.
And next one it just loads up. But even when you're dolphin fish fishing, it probably wouldn't hurt to drop one of those down when you see them on the sound of mid-water and just let it sit in the school while you're drifting past, flicking your lures out, or your bait out.
Yeah. That's
probably
why
not a
like
bad idea.
multicolour braid's so good. If you see fish or bait
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the sounder, any fish, and they say they're down 30 metres, it's 3 colours. So you know where your lure is all the time, and yeah.
Guys, last time, Stewie kept these from last time. I'll pass them
A
around.
bit of a hoarder. Nah.
Good vintage.
That's it.
A week old. But I'll just pass this the head and tail how I rig it up with the hook. You're welcome to turn it over and play with it, but you get your smelly hands. There is a bathroom downstairs. You can wash your hands. We'll pass that around. Excuse the smell. It's funny when we're working on this and we get guys coming into the boat pull up out the front, they smell just like that. But when I'm fishing, I don't smell it at all. I can't smell that smell. And I guess those guys can't either. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on the jigging side of it? Give it a shot if you can, okay, guys. But try to stick
Those,
your.
those ones you're just showing there.
Yeah, mate.
I've found sometimes I get many bites, but I'll chop a tiny bit of pilch off and just
I-
put that on the hook.
Yep,
I've seen a lot
Jack
more
does it.
bites
Yeah.
Yeah.
with just a
Yeah.
bit of scent, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
It definitely does help if things are a bit quiet. And our son Jack, he's a habit of doing that. I kid Jack, you're cheating. He goes, no, I'm not. But it definitely does enhance it, mate. You're right.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if it's cheating or not, but it's
well, yeah, if it works, right?
Yeah. I'd put a bit of S factor on them.
Yeah, S
Because
factor
there's
probably
heaps
be a
of
good thing.
like that
Yep.
skirt material that holds it.
probably easier than what I've been doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just way build on the head or on the hook, sort of around the hook area. Yeah, no, good call, mate. Okay, skirted lures. So skirted lures is also it's like live bait and skirt lures are the two best ways, but skirt lures get you bigger fish, even though live baits theoretically should get bigger fish. Little ones love live baits too, so they annoy the crap out of you eating your live baits, and you've worked your ass off to get 15 live baits and they're all gone because they're little fish like that. But when you troll the skirts around, those guys that are trying to get their live bait, although this time of the year is not too bad, you can get live bait at 4:30 in the morning because the light's up. But in winter you don't, but obviously there's no dolphin fish in winter, but when they get the live bait, you've already got a couple on skirts because you're out there in the spot before they get there, which is always a good thing. If you have the luxury of getting a live bait and keeping it alive in your bait, well, till the next day, that's the best scenario because you can go early and be straight out there. And generally, a lot of people don't realise you get a lot of live bait around the fads on the 50s and the 36s. You don't necessarily need to wait for the sun to come up and spend half an hour or an hour at the start and get out there at 6 when there's already been 20 boats out there. You'd be better off going straight out there and have an open mind that if you run over a school bait, I'll quickly drop and get some real close to the fad, rather than waste your time and get him in close. But there's a chance you might not get it as well. But generally you'll find them in the area. I prefer to do that.
Can you do it good at night? Or is it just sort of mainly in the
For dolphin fish, mate?
just catching live?
Oh, it's extremely hard. Like we bait up our bait jigs at night time with a bit of squid or a bit of squid works well because it holds on. Pilchard works really good. It gets the fish there, but the problem is that it falls off real easy.
Too soft.
Too soft, yeah. So you've got to use the skin part of the pilchard more or less to get a little hook through the skin so it stays on a little bit. But at night time, it's really hard to get live bait. Yeah, you get pike and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'm sure if you can maybe drop a light to attract them.
Yeah, so they do that on the long line boats. That's how they get the bait fish at night time. You see those bright lights out on the 12 fathom reef. That's what they're doing. They bring them up off the bottom, but they're super bright lights. Ours is like a little headlamp to a train light. You know?
Out in the dark, I just want to get there.
Yeah.
Time was,
Yeah, that's right. I know. So you just got to wait for that light to happen before you can actually get your first fish. It's really funny. As soon as it starts to get light, next when you get one, then they'll come on. But prior to that, nothing.
So you're best to just sort of try around the fads and...
100%. Well, I believe get out there, and if you can't get bait, you put your lures straight out and start trolling. Or take pillies and just cast pillies out, and they work fine, or cast lures.
Caught small dolphin fish just with like chopped up, like feeding
Yep.
just floating like say with bail.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's the way we do it. Yeah. Same way, mate.
Then I've seen them swimming around basically taunting me, and I just like,
That's what I was saying before. That's when you want to get a spear gun and shoot it. But yeah, no, but they will come on sometimes on these. So skirts are by far my pick to cover a bit of ground and get away from the fads. There's too many boats there. I work a current line or I look for debris in the water. Simple as that. The biggest skirt I'll troll for dolphin fish in the 36 would be something about that size. But when we're trolling out, say, blue marlin fishing, we're using lures sometimes that are 16-inch skirts and heads as bigger than my fist, and catching dolphin fish on those too. But they're generally 20 kilo plus. So they're not really scared about the size, but you will catch a lot more trolling, that sort of size there, that size, which is 6-inch skirt. And they'll work I've caught dolphin fish that are well over 20 kilos on that size lure. And I haven't caught many little dolphin fish on a big lure that size. So I prefer to use small lures by far. When we're trolling, so for a big day troll run out in the 100 metre line for dolphin fish in January or something, we'll only have a little one like that right at the back in the shotty, tiny little one. Single hook, 5.0 or 6.0 in there, and ready to roll. The hassle is over the next 2 months, or starting sort of Boxing Day on, is and we love it, but you guys don't, and I don't when I'm fishing, is wahoo are a problem. I was up north on the reef about 4 or 5 weeks ago for a week trip, and we fished from Early Beach to Cairns. We fished the outside of the reef and on around the reef, and I've done that trip a couple of times before in certain areas up there. I've never seen so many wahoo in my life. There's so many wahoo, and they're coming, because I was speaking to a guy yesterday, just come back from up north, brought his boat back down, he's up at Fraser for 2 weeks, and he said the amount of monster-sized wahoo on the way back was just crazy, and they're annoying him, biting his lures and annoying him. Yeah, they're great fun. I love it. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love it when they bite the lures off there.
So the speed for
So-
the skirts is about the same for the marlin and
Yeah, so for dolphin fish, a tiny bit faster, and that's the problem you get the wahoo. So dolphin for marlin, I'm trying like 6 to 7 knots sort of thing. For dollies, I drop the lures back another sort of. You don't need trolling close for dollies. You drop it back further, mate. Like trolling for spotty mackerel with baits. So your closest one might be 30 metres back instead of 15, and your longest might be 80 metres back.
about 10, 12.
About 8 to 10, 8 to 10. But you'll get those times when you're out, especially on a 100 metre line, trolling around and all of a sudden the line's in the air. You didn't see anything, and the 4 wahoo just bit off your 4 lures, you know. Yeah, because they like that speed and they like the lures. So part of the parcel.
So if you're running, say you've got your 5 spread,
Yep.
you still run your short corners?
No, not for dolphin fish. No. So my short rigger would become my short corner in distance. So, and my shoddy would be my riggers, and one further back again. So drop it back a fair way further. Yep, and downsize.
Do you go in any particular colour?
I love greens, and I like that evil type colour, like that sort of colour, gold and blues. And
Pink works really well.
pink's really well, yeah, blue and pink.
Orange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slightly darker and close and further back wide?
Slightly darker
Yeah.
and close, but my in-close dark might be like an evil. It's not like a purple. I still use purples, but I don't get as many dolphin fish on purple. I do on marlin, but not on dolphin fish.
Would you still run like a TV diver as well with the skirt?
Yeah, so if you've got those new, there's a couple of new lures that really hang in there really well. So obviously, Samakis go up to about 10 or 12 knots. Most of your Helcos won't stick in that speed. The Rapala got a new X-Rap Extreme out.
I guess it's like 12 or something too, isn't it?
No, only go, the X-Rap Extreme goes about 4 to 6, but it's a lot skinnier version. I've got some downstairs. I've got a big eye on them. They're different to the normal X-Rap, and they'll troll up to about 14 knots. So they hang in there too, really good. But if you're going to troll deep divers with your skirts, they need to be something that can hang in at 8 knots. It doesn't fall out, doesn't blow the water, and it needs to be the closest of your lures, of your spread. Okay. So your 2 divers might be, those that don't drop back around about probably 25 metres or maybe 30, but they'll come back to about 15 or so behind the boat. They'll come back pretty close. And then the next lot will be 25, 40, 60, maybe 70, 80 back for the shoddy if you put 5 out. So a long way back, yeah.
Is there any harm in chucking a wire leader on to stop the wire?
I have caught, I remember that one time we're down off Tweed Way, we're in about 100 metres, and we had wahoo bit us off like 3 or 4 times, and we got annoyed, and we had wahoo lures there. We caught wahoo, so we needed a wahoo. Well, there's obviously wahoo anyhow. But we started catching dolphin fish on the wire too, mate. We did. Yeah, but they're only small lures. They're only like that size, rigged up on wire, with old actually hex heads. Yeah.
Was it heavy wire?
It's about, I think they're about 200 pounds. It's pretty heavy. 49 strands, that's pretty thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but just remember, you can, even something like that on the shoddy, like way back, is fine for dolphin fish. Okay, you get tuna at grabbing them too, unfortunately, but dolphin fish, when they come on, you'll get like 4 rods or 5 rods all together.
So you said before 6 to 8 knots?
6 to 8, 8 to 10, mate. Oh, around 8. It has around 8 because you can do 10 down and maybe 6 up.
6
but
up, yeah.
Let's stick it on 8. Yep. Yep.
And those pillars you're passing around, I noticed you didn't have the point of, you had the point of the hook buried in.
Yeah, correct. So anything visual, they've got big eyes and they look. That you'll see them come up when you throw out. For those of you might know yourself, maybe you throw out like what I do when I'm fishing with the whatever I like rods there. I'll cut up pillies into about the size of my thumbnail, and I get ready for my line. I'll throw a couple in the water as far as I can throw it, and I'll throw my line out, and then I'll throw a couple more in the water, and you see the dolphin fish come shooting over, and they grab that one, they grab that one, and my hook's pretty concealed as you saw, and they'll look at it, and I'll go grab that one and that one. And that's why I want to stab them. But they're pretty clever. So if you have, and Tim on this video, and I told Tim, his hook's like just through it like that, and he smacks them. That some days they're like that, you know, some days they're aggressive. Yeah. But I think you need every chance you can have to. They'll still, when they bite it, mate, they're so aggressive. They're so hungry when they're hungry. They don't care. The hook doesn't need to be exposed. It's going to get him anyhow because it goes right down his throat. Everyone I catch is nearly down its gills. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't use circle hooks, guys. Not even the liveys. I just use 2 J hooks like those 7-0s you got in the bag there. Yeah. So whatever's in the bag is pretty what we use pretty well. Yeah. So any questions on this at all so far, guys? All good? Okay. We're going to play this video and it goes for about 10 or 15 minutes now. Tim, I know you have a bit of a squeal to your laughing, mate, but he has a bit of a squeal, so we'll try and turn it down a little bit maybe. If it annoys you. Mate, do you mind to hit the lights just on that switch over there, buddy, if you don't mind? We will still have the hallway light on if you have to go. Oh, just go on there, Stu, if you can flick it off there, buddy. So Tim's a good bloke. If you follow him on Facebook, he's got plenty of good YouTube stuff as well. You just want to position that up if you can to face that, if you don't mind, Stuart. Is it just loading, mate?
No,
Okay. You can turn the sound a bit, mate, if you want. So you can see the size of the pillies he's cut out, which is about exactly what we do. Is that as loud as it goes, mate?
Oh, wait, did you say? Oh,
Yes, quick it up, mate. Yeah. Don't get too seasicky watching it. So you can see Tim's only using fairly light stuff. There's a fad there, you just saw it. So that's old mate's fad. They're like the 7 fads in a row. They pop up and pop down again. 7 boys in a row, sorry.
He's not trying to disguise that hook, is he?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, he's pretty plain Jane. He's all light gear. I think Tim's he uses about the same 5,000 or 6,000 size reel. Even the 4's okay. See how quick it was? So you see he had it in free spill and he's stripping it off as it's going down. That's the secret, not to close your bar alarm. Oh, you had one. I personally wouldn't get that close to the buoy, but that's up to you guys. They'll be all around it. There's not much current that day. You can see it's just sitting there. You know, it's not. Oh, there's a bit of current, but not much. So the current's going that way. So he started up from it. He's casted to it. Must be another drift, maybe.
So that was a quick move.
Yeah, very quick. Old mate's on. It's as loud as it goes, isn't it? Just want to hear Timmy screaming. So the little ones, we don't worry about netting them. If they're under sort of 5 kilos, we'll just do or 4 kilos, so we'll do a wrap on it and lift them in the boat. If they're bigger than that, we'll definitely net them or gaff them. I generally don't bring the gaff out till it's about 7 kilo. And that esky lid will be ready to go straight in. So it's just a little fellow. So from that size up, it's not too bad, you know. So the idea is that as he's gone past the fad, they've gone up the bite, obviously. So they've gone back up again. Now he's switched to plastics here. So he's hooked up on the fall again, so his bar arm is open, then it's jumped on while it's sinking. That happens quite regularly, that's normal. But you also get them high speed burning as well. Oh, I missed it. Oh, I was on a pilly, sorry. Sorry. I was using plastic. One of these uses plastic. Oh no, that was Tim winding his line in to get out of the way of the guy on the plastic, sorry. A little fella. So that's the common size at the moment, guys. So you can see he's using about a 5-inch, just a long type as well. We've tried paddle tails. I just can't get them on paddle tails. I might have caught 1 or 2 over the years. Yes, back on that. So it's, see how it's shaped his leader off then? He's retied again. So that's a 5-inch gulp.
Yeah, it's a 5-inch gulp jerk shad fire
Fire
tiger colour.
tiger, yeah. Cool, yeah. Anything bright they like, and white. That's the 2 colours.
Throwing metal slugs at
Yeah,
them.
done well too.
White
Yeah.
lasers tend
Yeah,
to be alright.
yeah, done really well on all that style. When the kids were little, like only 4 or 5 of them, we smashed them one day on the metals. They were casting their rods out and winding. And so you see his jig head's about a 4.0 or 5.0 there, half ounce I'd say. So you see how before Tim threw the pilchard out and the other guy threw the plastic out, the plastic got smashed before the pilchard. So many times, as I say, plastics are like a no-brainer, you know, more than the pilchard sometimes. There you go. Spot on, Stuart.
Yeah, that's it.
So Tim hasn't put it on very straight, but obviously they must be really hungry.
Yeah. I always try to keep them pretty straight. They sink a lot more natural. They sink quicker. They sink straight. They don't twist your line.
So he was ripping in pretty quick then. You saw that as well. The unfortunate part is you don't get many dolphin fish inside of 50 metres out here, guys. It's just, if you've got a boat, like my boat's only 4.8 metres, and I don't get to the 50s in it, but I go pretty close. But on the 36 fads, I hammer it in my little tinny. So it depends how big your boat is, I guess, to go out to the further fads.
Mine's broken, get it fixed.
Yeah, that's a bit... It like knows its way around the water itself, so both under and over. That's about better distance from the fad. That's about where I would normally go. So he's twitching, and I think he rips it. Oh, he got one on the fall again. So that guy's trolling into the current. You see the way the buoy's sitting, it comes up like that. So he's trolling against the current, which you can do that, but it doesn't work as good normally. like dollar for dollar, dolphin fish are hard to beat. They look good, they fight good, they taste good.
Got any secrets in the freezing?
Cryovac maybe. Yeah.
I've had all sorts of trouble with
Have you?
with freezing them.
We got some dolphin fish once down south a bit, and they were, a couple of them were like the kingfish where you put the knife in, it just oozes out. You know, it's really weird. It's to do with some parasite, I think. But generally speaking, no, I find them extremely good, really good. They're both on here. So this is in early January. This is taken. So it only gets better every week from now on. They get bigger, and the fishing gets better. We just need the weather. That's what we need.
4 million boats out there when the weather comes good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You can't freeze the fish.
Oh, you can freeze it. Yeah, we freeze ours. Yeah, yeah. My dad used to freeze them in salt water when we were younger. I remember him doing that, and put them into tubs and freeze them in water, salt water.
Yeah, I just never had much luck with freezing. I mean, they certainly, put it this way, I could always tell that they've been frozen.
Yeah. Oh, that's true on most fish though. It's not as good as fresh. Yeah. Yeah, for some reason. But they taste good.
Try and dry it out before it freezes too.
Oh, maybe we could try that too. Just the paper towel.
Don't wash them in fresh water too much.
Yeah, salt water's good.
Just clarify what you're saying with trolling before. So he was trolling against the current.
He was trolling against the current.
You're still trolling in line with the current, but you prefer down the current?
I prefer down the current. Many reasons for that is that the fish are travelling like into the current. They're sitting in the current watching what's coming down. If that makes sense. So you're trolling straight towards them. The other way, they've got a high tail after you, but it's hard for them to swim against the current to catch you. Hard work for them. They're going to burn fuel. And I believe they're just more aggressive if you're going easy way for them. So they're watching what's coming down the current. They're sitting in it. As soon as something goes past, they just turn with the current. It's easier for them to get speed up and grab it. That's my thinking. But,
You're trolling a fad. You do circle or you do long?
I'll do zigzags sometimes, maybe, yeah, across the current as well. Across the current always works, but not so much. So if you're going to troll back up again, do big zigzags rather than just go straight into it. How's that sound? Yeah. Yeah, it works, yeah. Is he still on the same fish?
I think so, yeah.
Let's see how big it is.
Trolling into the current, you need to slow down a bit for your lures to stop blowing out.
Yeah, it's really hard, then you don't make much ground. But for skirts, you don't really need to, unless they're too close. But for divers, yeah, if you've got like a Helco or something on, and if you're doing 6 knots into 2 or 3 knots, they're doing 9, they'll probably start to blow out, especially, yeah. So it's all relative. So, but if you go cross current, it's not too bad. You don't notice it too much. But not necessarily short little zigzags. You want to do like a 45-degree angle sort of thing for 500 metres that way and 500 metres that way. Work way back up.
What about running inline wakes going up current?
Oh, sorry, what?
Running an inline wake.
Oh, okay. I don't do it for dolphin fish, but no, for bait fishing we do. Yeah, bait fishing definitely. Like trolling for Spanish and that. So I don't know if he's got a net, just want to gaff it. He gaffed it. You got a gaff in that size. So that's a female, but it's not a bad size. Spectacular colours though, so beautiful. Probably just broke his rod tip there.
Yeah. That one was really tame.
Yeah, that was
Compared to
tame.
normal.
That's right, it must be Timmy wore it out. Do you get sort of like, feel like you're going to fall over watching this?
Mm.
Yeah. So anyhow, yeah. So it's follow Tim if you want. I don't know what he's
Ship-based fisherman.
no, that's
Well, that's my
Benny. Benny.
Ben, yeah.
Just Tim. What does it say?
Let's fish.
Yeah,
Tim
down
Morford.
the-
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, correct. And yeah, he's got his other videos. He's really good. Nice guy. Okay, we'll turn those lights back on if you don't mind, my friend. Is that all right to flick that switch? Thanks, sir. Cheers, mate. Okay, so any questions at all, gentlemen, on anything that you saw there or what we've done tonight? You're all a bit more clued up, hopefully?
When they're rigging the plastics, do you bother throwing any filters out, chopped up filters out, or you just...
No, you're casting a fair way, mate, and you can't throw pillies that far.
As good as it's drifting back while you keep casting,
Yeah.
it helps, or...
No.
Because they won't, they'll just throw it.
No, they're just letting it sink, and as I said, he's probably done a few drifts and worked out where they are. That's really important to find that out and work your drift out, and then can go for it. Until you get a few boats come in, and they'll dissipate, and they'll maybe go there and down there. Then you got to find them again, and then change your technique or whatever. Yeah, or go to the next fad. Yeah.
So
I'll
if
go.
you get out to fad and you don't get onto any fish off the X amount of time, you just move on to another one?
That's right, yeah. So if it just gets like too many boats, we may jig, or we may just go to the next fad, which will go further out if the weather's nice, or go north further. Or we go look for current lines and troll skirts, mate. So really, when you do go chase dolphin fish, you really want to be prepared to do what he's did, which is plastics and bait, but always have your skirts with you, ready to troll, because it's just not happening that way. You'll find where they are. You can then maybe cast when you find where they are, if they're schooled up on bait or a structure, whatever it might be. If you find something floating, but you can't just sort of go out there with pilchards and say, I'm going to catch something today, because it may not work that way. It's one of those fish where you can actually do quite a few different things and catch it, which is really good.
And you throw them straight at them and
Yeah.
don't want to touch it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So then throw the skirts out. They may smack it that way.
Do you
Yeah.
ever use spotlight, or are you drifting?
Yeah. Okay. So spotlight. I don't, but I lie there. One of the guys I fish with got it on his motors, so he does. But because the current's running so hard, it's working so hard, and when you cast up, your line's like very fast. It's really hard, mate. So they've got to be really on the bite to get that that fish in that short time you have. If you're drifting, you actually get a lot longer time in that same space.
Yeah, because you're drifting at the same rate as your lure or your bait or whatever.
It works a lot better. It's more natural. It falls better. And but when it's windy, 100% use the spotlight when there's not too much current, because then it's more natural, just falling with the current, with not much current, you know. Where the guy's drifting, they're going 100 miles an hour with the wind, and the baits can't get down. So that's when you do use the spotlight. Yeah.
Sometimes the current's pushing you one way and the wind's pushing you
100%. That's right. And
You've got to figure out which is which.
that's right. Well, at least you got the buoy there. You can sort of reference that to which way you're drifting. That's what we used to do in the old days before GPS. You had to sort of use that. We used to just chuck a brick out with a floater on it, and then we'd use that as a reference, or a couple of crab pot floats on it. And then, okay, we're drifting this way, and the wind's blowing that way, and you think, okay, I'm going to go up further that way. But hey, hang on, when we put the float out, you've actually gone back that way against the wind, even though the wind's stronger than the current. It's all different. Okay, I think that's about it, Stu.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we need some good weather and everyone should get out there and give it a crack. But yeah.
I think in the long range forecast, they're saying we've got El Nino, El Nino. What is it called?
Yeah, so it's the same weather pattern as last year, so it's going to be pretty wet. The weather wasn't too bad last year. We had a lot of good days.
It's better
but
than now.
It's just raining. Yeah, that's right. At the moment, it's just
But
horrible.
we had one of our best pelagic seasons last year ever, Dave.
So how likely are you to get them if you just troll in the line of reef, like the cathedrals?
Yeah, so reasonably good if you've got a little bit of bait around, or some sort of current line, or something on the surface, like lots of weed and crap like that. If you've just got clean water, it is a bit of luck, but I've caught lots of them in the middle of nowhere with nothing, not even any structure, just like sand. They're just free swimming around, but not double hookups or triple hookups, just the one loner, but generally good fish. Yeah. So in summer, like I don't know, unless I want to get to the spot quick in the morning, I go fast, but I generally troll home because I get a lot of fish on the way back, which you haven't got much maybe during the day, but you throw the lures at the way back, you've got a good chance, you know. And some of our best fish, or not the best fish, but sometimes we've hooked them up like 2 k's off the seaway and they're 15 kilo dollies, you know. But I can't catch them around the fad off the seaway. They're just out in the middle of nowhere, you know. So, yeah.
So if you say you hook one,
Yes.
trawling,
Yes.
pulling your skirts, so it's always best to double back and trawl around. that
I'd
area.
definitely have a look around, Cordy, because they may be in a school.
Yeah.
But if they're a decent sized one, it's probably just a loner swimming around, maybe. I'm not really. Over times, unless I can find if there's a bit of structure there or something floating in the water that I didn't see but I've hooked up just after it, maybe I'll go back and have a look around and try and see what it was.
Yeah.
But generally, it's just a loner. Yeah. Out in the middle of the paddock somewhere. Yeah.
Have you got a favourite fad?
My favourite fad is definitely the 36 right up top end, which is just north of Jumping Pin. That 2740 fad, and 37 I think it's on, or 36. I don't mind the one near just north of Spot X on the 50s northeast. That's not a bad one too. I've done well there. The 3 fads, I've caught them there, but I've never caught really big ones there. Lots of big ones. Got a lot of numbers there, but not big ones. But as I said, my best dolphin fish days have been just we find something floating. Yeah, it's the holy grail. Fish tank. Yeah, it is. It's just like, has anyone ever done that here yet? I asked that question before. So good. Just something random floating. We've done it a few times now. I had to go. Yeah, was it? But it's got to be in about. I'll be honest with you. It's got to be in at least 60 metres of water. Under 60 metres, you get some really big logs on the 24 fathoms. And it's got a couple of little things swimming around, but that's about it. Yeah, it's got to be at that clean water that's running hard south. Yeah, that's where they are.
When it's getting busy and you're switching over to jigs, are you definitely sounding them up?
100%, mate. 100% sounding up, marking it, working my drift, then dropping them down and trying to hit them on the way through. Yep, 100%. Yep. But this year I'm going to try that green thing when around. Yeah. I'm going to drop it the right hole of the jigging. So we go. No. No, I don't, as I said before, when we get bit off constantly by wahoo, I'll bring out the wahoo lures and we might get a few dolphin fish on, which we have quite a few times, but they're not any bigger than that. That's the sort of size, Neil, like that size, or smaller, just small, yeah. Yep, I'm going to say something before. Yeah, just, we have caught, our biggest fish have always been, even when I found those floating, whatever, in the water, we've maybe got them up to like 15 or 18 kilos, but the ones we caught over 20 kilos have always been out really deep water at this next 3 months or 4 months when we're trolling for blue marlin. Yeah. So you guys, Kenny, should have a chance of maybe getting one of those. They go hard. Even at 130, they pull the line off. Yeah. So we didn't get out. Yeah. We keep coming back to that, don't we? It's frustrating. Yeah. I haven't been offshore I went off last Sunday, but I haven't been offshore proper fishing out wide for maybe 3 or 4 weeks now.
Yeah. Just a real quick one, like when you are trolling a spread of skirts and stuff like that, teasers are pretty popular. By far the best teaser for dollies, I'd say, is probably a bird with a daisy chain behind it, something like that.
I've got to bring them up tonight, sorry.
Yeah,
I forgot about teasers.
We've got heaps downstairs,
Yeah.
but like marlin trolling and stuff, a lot of people use witch doctors and things like that, which are like a mirrored dive-in plank. But dolphin fish like the more erraticness on the top.
So they're like dredges and they're like birds with the daisy chain behind. Yep, and you're dropping it back a fair bit further than you are for your marlin, so maybe 10 metres back.
Yeah, you want it just in front of your closest line. Yeah,
or 15 metres back.
Yeah, but even if you don't want to run a teaser, your best teaser is always going to be your boat. So the noisier your boat, disturbance from your boat. It's going to draw things up. They're very inquisitive. They come up and have a look. And a teaser's just added attractant at the end of the day. So
trading for a two-stroke.
that's it. 100%. Run a couple of 6 horsepowers out the back.
They're getting hard to find now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't pass the live bait around. So this is just how I rig up a live bait. I'll pass this around too real quick while we do the draw. So Stewie did have a mullet
I did
here.
bring some mullets.
Oh, actually, I'll rig it up
anyway.
on that one. I'll rig up on that one.
Can you just, under the clipboard, there's a hook there too. Just give us one, Dougie.
Yeah. So, are you going to use that one? I'll use that one.
So Dougie uses 2 hooks on his liveys. I only ever use 1. But
Still trying to get two on one lure, one bait.
obviously on a bait that big, this size, would use bigger hooks. But so Doug does it. He puts the second hook in, and he kind of goes pretty deep. Don't touch the backbone because I'd die. And then with the front hook, just through the nose.
Sharp.
Yeah, sharp hooks are good hooks. And then I'd say he's probably put the wrong hook in the wrong place, but anyway, that's okay.
Oh yeah, I have.
But
Glasses work good, don't they?
yeah, that's it.
The fish is dead now.
Yeah.
That's the only one I had too.
My theory is this way is good, but a lot of the time you're fishing it in the like free spooling a bait down and swimming down. This way it's swimming against your line. I'll just use a single hook and I go just underneath the back fin and I'll just loop it through once and that's it. That's me. I just throw it out, I let it swim down, free spool it, there's no drag. It's pulling the line down fine and they just get eaten on the swim down. It looks a bit odd when you pass it around like that, but that's the type of thing. I don't loop it through too deep either.
I just dug its eye out.
That's it.
Sorry.
So this is a blind mullet. But yeah.
Not a blind fish, eh?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
When you said before the fad that's northeast of Spot X.
Yep.
When I was actually fishing out there, the fads weren't actually like around back in those days.
Yeah, yes.
But
Yep.
there was a spot was like sort of well known to everyone northeast of Spot X. Is that roughly where this?
Yes, correct. Yeah, so it's about probably.
Because that actually helped dolphin fishing before there was.
Yeah, they're always out there.
Always there.
Always there. That's right. Exactly right. That's. Yeah, number. It's the second one on that page there.
Yeah.
There's actually 2. There's another one a bit further out. Oh, north, sorry. It's about another 8 mile north. So there's one just north of Spot X like you're talking about. That's the second one down. And then the next one's Fad 13. So that next one, sorry. So that one's one of my favourites too. That's northeast of the Seaway.
Cool. No, I just remember that spot. Was
Mm.
around
Yeah,
here.
they're always on the 100 metre line, and particularly
Really
there's
consistent,
a good
mate.
scum line on there or something.
Yeah,
They're there,
right.
yeah. No, they're good. So that rig come around, we know Stewie's rig, but my rig. It's a really good rig for dewies and snapper and everything, cobia, marlin, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, not marlin because you don't want to gut hook it, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like that rig, that's mainly just my dolly one. If I'm rigging for marlin or whatever, it's always a band through the nose and with a circle at the front. But the only downside to that is if it doesn't get eaten on the way down, you've got to wind it up real slow. Otherwise they drown because you're pulling them backwards. So, yeah. But I haven't had to pull many back up. I always get eaten on the way down. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Well,
I'm going to eat it when I hit the water.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. We're very competitive out in the boat.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so any other questions, guys? Okay, so just to let you know too, there's a few marlin around if you want to chase marlin. Last Sunday when the guys who did go out in that 25 knots, that was 2 knots, they got a few marlin and there's a few caught on Monday, I think it was as well, Tuesday it was this week.
Yeah.
And they were mainly around Spot X into 36s northeast, that area. So anyone fishing that comp on the weekend? You guys are? So that's where I'd be going if I was you. And fish 15 kilo.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah.
Even with the weather, we sort of looked at it.
Yeah, that's the spot. That's the area. Like guys are setting free jump in there, they're hooking up 4 or 5 fish.
That's just short time.
Was it, sorry? Sorry.
You'd spend a week's time going out wide.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
One of our customers got a blue off Point Lookout yesterday on the way back or day before on his way back.
Yeah.
But he got a black before then too. Oh, he went up to Fraser.
Oh, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I was just thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Where was it?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's absolutely. He fished Fraser for a week, or it's only got 3, and caught 7 on the way back. So, a lot in less than a day, or whatever it was. So, yeah. So, but definitely that's what's happening at the moment. That's the go. And the dolphin fish should be there with them, and there should be a few wahoo coming. As I said, there's a lot of wahoo north, so I'm expecting them to show up soon too. That'll be a really good season. Mackerel, they're getting a few little spotties down at Palmy, but many of the guys on the yaks are getting them. I would expect that we won't see much until the water's really cold. It's been cold, guys. It's extremely cold, like 21 degrees here last Sunday out there. 21.1. Yeah, it's really weird. It was warm for a little while, that's right, and but it's gone cold again. So it may we'll get a good southerly, which is coming in on Sunday, I think.
Yeah.
It's southerly coming in, so when that comes in, it may warm the water up a bit. Yeah, it's funny how the cool southerly warms the water, and a hot northerly makes it cold. It's the way it is.
Do you know where the 0 line is at the moment?
As in the
The current?
Oh, I haven't had a look at. Actually, I can check my phone. I'll check after we finish. Yeah. So there should be yellowfin in this upwelling at the moment. It's from the northerlies. It should be cold as, like, perfect for them. But I haven't heard many yellowfin. But no one's been out because the weather's been crap. So yeah, probably there. Okay. Our next seminar, guys, is on the 16th of December. I think it is.
Yeah.
A few weeks' time. And it's on marlin fishing with Peter Bakula. And have anyone been to Peter's talks before? A couple of you have? Yeah, so he's very good. Pedantic and goes very intricate into it, but you'll come out probably with your head swelled, but you'll learn lots. You'll learn lots, and he's very good. So that's on that night. And what else we got, Liam? That's it, mate? Time for the draw. Okay, so Liam, you can pick the first one tonight, mate.
You sure?
Yeah. Liam's such a gentleman. Just like your dad.
It's 4 people missing.
Okay, well, if they get called out, sorry for not being here, guys.
Number 20, Richard Loins.
Well done, Richard. So, Richard, I think you have got part of a teaser in here, actually. So you're just over $300 worth, mate. Well done. Excellent. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, mate.
So tonight we've got well done. We've got just over $1,000 worth of gear to give away. So Stu, your next one. And we did 8 prizes instead of 6. Next one's around about $200, I think, a bit over.
That was number 27.
Well done, mate. What name is it, mate? Luke, well done, Luke. Cheers, matey. Thank you very much, mate. Okay, next one's, I think it's about $100 or $150, $150. I'll just leave your turn. Oh. Thanks, mate. Okay, it is. Sorry, one second. Okay, it's number 6. Oh, Neil. That's you, my friend. Well done, Neil.
I'll come again.
Yeah, good, mate. Neil used to be a TAFE teacher of mine when I was doing building at college. What did you do? Oh, you taught Paul, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. I thought it was me. Oh, okay.
No, you were just before me.
Oh, okay, right, okay. That's right, there you go. Your turn, mate.
Number 10.
Number 10 is Mike Conifeld. Well done, Mike. Congratulations, mate. Thank you, sir. Cheers, mate. Good man, mate. Okay. I think that one was nearly $100 worth. Next one, Stewie, your turn, buddy.
He's mate. Number 11.
Number 11.
One of the fellas that didn't turn up.
Wow. Okay, Mitch
There
didn't
you
make
go.
it. Okay, redraw. Sorry,
Well
Mitch.
done,
Okay.
Number 16.
Is Alan.
Alan.
Al, you're up, mate. The lure in here smacked the little blacks last year, that colour, that one, mate. Well done, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, mate. Next one's the 5th one. Leaving it to me. Stop it, I'll let you go. Sorry. Number 5, Sam Roach. Well done, Sammy. Congratulations, buddy. Welcome, mate. Cheers, mate. Thank you. I'll trade you though. Okay, last 7th one. Around about 40, 50 bucks, something like that.
Number 4.
Geez, they're low ones tonight.
They are.
4.
Andy.
Andy. Well done, Andy. Congratulations, mate. Cheers, mate. And last one, and guys, thanks for coming. Just to let you know too, we do have all this gear for you guys at 30% off for the next to the next seminar. And reels we're just matching online, guys. But we have got a the Black Friday sale thing goes for 4 days, starts tomorrow, and we've got everything's in the whole shop's 30% off actually for the next 4 days, except for reels at the best price online. And we have all our lures are 35% off, so we don't normally do that, but we'll do that tonight for you guys if you want to buy anything, or tomorrow when you come back, whatever. It goes for 4 days, and we have stuff, not now, but tomorrow, we've got some dump bins and stuff that's up to 80% off. There's clearance lures and whatever. There are some skirt lures in there too, by the way. Okay, it's number 24, and it is Jared. Well done, matey. How you going, Jared? Good on you, mate. Did you get reels tonight?
No,
You haven't got.
still on your boat.
Oh, do you want to get another one done?
No, wait.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'll bring it in tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, buddy. Jared got a reel the other day, but he had to go. I made him wait because he was going to the movies. And so he goes, I'll go and fish and such and such. So when we went out offshore the next day, we come back in early, and so we get back early because Jared's going to be at a spot. And I had it in the boat, but Jared couldn't get there, so we didn't. So now it's in the boat, not here. Okay, guys, thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Liam. Thanks everyone for coming along. Thanks to Masako, my wife, for doing everything. And thank you. And I just hope the weather gets better, guys, so you can get out there, because I think we're going to have a really good season for fish, as Stuart's saying. It's just a matter of getting out there. Oh, you're a gentleman. Mate, you get to keep those jiggers because you brought them back. How's that sound?
We'll keep the
Well
bird's
done.
nest.
We'll take the
Thanks,
line,
mate.
yeah. Thanks, mate. And guys, okay, one last thing. On the way out, you get a gaff as well. So you got to grab the gaff on the way out. Last time we did this was it was a
Jewy seminar.
Jewy seminar.
And everyone forgot their gaffs.
So to contact everyone, come back and get your gaff. So just wait till we'll head down now with you, and it'll be downstairs at the shop door as you walk out. Thanks, so you fix that with Mum, is that right? Oh, actually, I need that to show the guys something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Always a pleasure. How's your boat going?
Well, it's not ordered yet.
Not ordered yet. Okay, that's all right.
The courts are starting paying my missus until
Oh,
they do.
yeah, there you go. It'll happen.
Do you just more salt?
Oh, you have, but you can keep the 2 mullet. Okay, yours, buddy. Thanks, mate. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's just that lovely hooking job you're doing.
Is that grapple expensive?
No, it's 70. Oh, I think tonight's like $70. It's cheap.
No, good fish, pretty good.
Oh, amazing stuff.
I'm going to give it a whirl on the next one I do, so
Yeah.
yeah, it looks good.
Yeah,
Thanks
no, it's
again.
good. Thank you. I don't know how to turn this off. Do I just push? No, I don't think it's that one. I think give it to mine. Give it to mine. I've touched it. It's still recording, so it's not real.
Yeah.
Just watch yourselves.
Guys, if you just pushed it,